Radio 670, The Score.
At a 105 on Chicago Sports Radio 670 Score, we're going to skip our preliminaries because we have two handsome men sitting across from us who'll kill us if we don't get this thing going.
Well, at least one. I don't know if I can vouch for both, but certainly one.
No, the doctor can kill you. Believe me. Find a way. Dan Pastorini, meh.
We are being joined by former Pro Bowl quarterback Dan Pastorini of the Houston Oilers and then the LA Raiders. Oakland Raiders, right?
Yeah, it was the Oakland Raiders.
It was still Oakland. Okay,
yeah.
I get confused because they move a lot. And also, Dr. John Pelosa is with us on WSCR The Score. Hey, guys. One of your challenges was physical with the injuries that you suffered, and you found some relief with stem cells. Tell us about what happened.
Yes, with the Stem Cell Institute, the Premier Stem Cell Institute in Johnston, Colorado. Got with them about 4 years ago with all the injuries that I had, and Don Horn introduced me to everybody, and Dr. Pelosa's here is one of our newcomers in our Dallas office, and they did some work on me and did some injections that really prolonged me not having to have surgery for about another 8 to 9 months. But then after having the surgery, because I was very arthritic, kind of beyond help, if you will, and then having the surgery, then it really expedited the healing process. And I continue to work with them today on various other injuries, and they've helped about 150 former players and current players and do a wonderful job. And I'll let Dr. Pelosa kind of expand on the techniques of how they do it.
Well, my question, though, is this before we get into it. I know there are all kinds of stories, of positive stories, of guys saying this helped me and I feel better. Is the efficacy of this treatment, has it been scientifically peer-reviewed, medically peer-reviewed, and has it been accredited through medical journals to say, yes, objectively, this works, this can be replicated?
The short answer is yes. There's 3 publications in disc injections and one in hips and one in knees, just published in the International Orthopedic Journal. But it's a lesser level of evidence than a randomized controlled trial, which would be a level 1 medical evidence. So those are peer-reviewed, but more needs to be done. Right now, the clinical and anecdotal experience is ahead of the science, probably several years, but it's changing. We're setting up multiple centers throughout the country, so we'll have multi-center study. Mm-hmm. It will be prospective. Eventually they'll be randomized. So that's the gold standard in a study. Mm-hmm. It's not there yet. Right now there's also animal work and there's also laboratory work, and we're taking the clinical or the research, the lab and animal stuff, and applying it in the clinical world in a safe way, compliant with the FDA and how we handle the cells. But we don't mean to create a lot of hype because that's too easy to do. Mm-hmm. We're trying to keep it into protocols. Can't keep everybody in a protocol. We use an investigational review board, which is critical for publication. Mm-hmm. And so we are clearly creating a scientific mechanism to study these.
The infrastructure is there to do this the right way, obviously.
It's getting there. It's not perfect yet, but it's getting there.
Is it one's own stem cells? Are they donated cells?
No.
Are they adult stem cells?
They are adult stem cells of the patient's own.
Okay.
So there's no embryonic type issues. Mm-hmm. There's also no graft-host reaction type issues. It's not.
There's no immunosuppressive drugs needed?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. Some cells are privileged, that they can be transferred from one person to another, mm-hmm. but that is not what this is. This is autologous, means your own mesenchymal stem cells from the bone marrow. Not from adipose, which is now trouble with the FDA. They don't consider that minimally.
That's from the fat cells, right?
Correct.
Okay.
That is considered not minimally manipulated. It's considered more of a pharmaceutical by the FDA, and that is being shut down now.
So, Dan, what specifically, what body parts are we talking about here?
They did my right hip and my right shoulder, which I've since had replaced, and then I went back for secondary treatment to help the healing process, and it worked wonders.
And I wonder, too, as a guy who's eventually going to need a new knee myself, are we talking help with articular cartilage, meniscal cartilage, either, both?
Both.
Actually regrowing it?
No, can't make that claim.
Okay.
Helping the pain significantly. Stem cells are immature cells that can become a more mature, fully functioning tissue with the right cueing and environment. but they do more than that. They modulate the immune system and the inflammation system. They attack the mediators that create inflammation in your body. They're called cytokines.
Okay.
They block receptors. They do a lot of things that we don't fully understand yet.
As opposed to the prostaglandin inhibitors that have been used as the next level anti-inflammatory. This is sort of a level above.
Gestation doctor.
Well, no, I'm just curious.
No, you're talking about a COX-2 inhibitor, a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, which are very effective, by the way.
But have other heart complications.
They
et cetera.
all do. Any drug has a complication profile. Right now, these are very safe since they're your own cells. We haven't seen complications except for one, which would be if you get an infection at the injection site. So that's possible, but incredibly rare.
It's fascinating to me, and I wonder, too, from your perspective as a player, it sounds like while you can say after the fact, a former player can come in and say this hurts and that hurts, what I'm wondering is why wouldn't a team right now say, wait a second, why not an otherwise healthy 28-year-old or 26-year-old? We can get that guy from Sunday to Sunday in much better condition and start experimenting. You talk about proactive and progressive. I would think that
I would do it.
That the future of this could be in actually maintaining a current player.
Well, yeah, that is that's been thrown around a lot. But okay, but from a scientific stance, we can't really promote it that way. That's
I'm just thinking about what this could be.
Yeah, I know, but it's prophylactic treatment. So I mean, then what are we treating? I'm just going to feel better. That's a little hard. We don't have a way of measuring that in a scientific sense. Now, I don't have a problem with it because there's really not much of a downside. There's some cost involved, but it's not like we have a really significant complication profile. But that issue is something for the NFL to discuss. It can be done.
Being on the other side of the spectrum and being injected with Marcaine and Novocaine in my ribs to play in 6 games toward the end of the 78 season, I would much rather would have experimented with stem cell as opposed to shooting that junk in my body.
PremierStemCellInstitute.com. Dan Pastorini, Dr. John Pelosa, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Dan and
Thank
Terry.
you.
Appreciate
Dan,
your
great
time.
to see you, my friend.
Good to see you.